Good evening. This is the major news broadcast for the day on OGTV. My name is Adewale Dosumo. The highlights. Governor Amosu dismisses insinuations of mission to rebuild agenda derailment. Ogun State Governor-elect inaugurates Economic Transition Committee, 10 work groups. Peru former president kills himself. Unity is strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved.
On business tonight, federal government to issue 20 billion naira 30-year bond on April 24. To join us at the business segment of the news, when we will bring you the details and more business stories. My name is Idowu Fabaju.
And on sports tonight, Golden Eagles qualify for FIFA Under-17 World Cup. These and many more when I return on the sports segment of the news. My name is Hakeem Kisibi. You're welcome.
Now the details. The peaceful atmosphere in Ogun State, which was brought about by the right kind of leadership provided in the last 8 years, will be sustained with the concerted efforts of all. The new Commissioner of Police in the state, CP Bashir Makama, gave this assurance during a courtesy visit to the state governor, Senator Ibikunle Amosu, in his office, Okemoso Abeokuta. Matthew Shomi completes the report.
As an officer with a wide range of experience in anti-terrorism, anti-kidnapping, and all forms of insurgencies in the country, Bashir Makama is taking over as the new Commissioner of Police in Ogun State with a watchword, service to everyone with fear of God. The visit to the governor, Senator Ibikunle Amosu, was to introduce himself and intimate him with the action plan of his tenure. CP Makama highlights some of the key areas of security challenges that his attention will be focused on and assure that no stone will be left unturned in providing adequate security of lives and property.
We'll try to also ensure we maintain the peace we have inherited here. I think the state is relatively peaceful, and I want to assure you too that we'll work very, very hard to sustain it, if not do it better. Also to say to you, sir, that we have come here to serve and not expecting to be served.
Governor Amosu welcomed the new Commissioner of Police to the state and asked him to carry out the necessary appraisal of the security architecture of the state with a view to building on it. The governor said, coming from the era that no investor was ready to do business in the state because of crimes and criminalities that were the order of the day, to the era where the state is now the investment destination of choice due to the peaceful atmosphere that is reigning, means a lot has been achieved and must be sustained.
We are the industrial capital of Nigeria, and that comes with a huge challenge. And that is why we have to pay glowing tribute to those that have served here before you. For me, I work with anybody. You do the job, you're my friend. If you don't do the job, then I don't even want to see whoever. But anybody that does the job, that is my own style. Somehow you are coming in when I'm leaving, but of course Ogun State will be still here. And as God will have it, I will still be in service, but not in the context in which I was before. So at least I will still be part of government, quote unquote, and I'll still be seeing your performance. But the rest assured, if I have any challenge, any complaint, of course, quickly I will let you know.
Meanwhile, the recently appointed permanent secretary to Governor's Office, Barrister Larry Yoda, has performed his last official assignment as a civil servant as he bows out of the service. The PS speaks on his right to the peak of his career and advised those coming behind to be diligent in their duties.
It's been very interesting, challenging, but quite productive. I've interacted and I've seen that the Ogun State Civil Service is made up of those who, majorly, of those who are committed.
He thanked the people and government of Ogun State for the opportunity to serve. Matthew Shomi, OGTV News.
Ogun State Governor Senator Ibikule Amusu says his administration has not in any way halted its mission to rebuild slogan through various laudable infrastructure development across the state, as efforts are underway to continue to work assiduously to deliver on his campaign promises till his last minute in office. Governor Amusu stated this during the World Press Conference to herald the 2019 edition of the African Drum Festival held at the Metros Hall and Residences, Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. While reiterating his administration's commitment to complete all projects embarked upon, the governor says the project will be inaugurated by his government till 12 midnight of May 2019. Governor Ibikule Amusu assumed office on May 29, 2011 with his mission to rebuild slogan, and has no doubt placed the state as one of the best among the Committee of States through various infrastructural development across the 3 senatorial districts of the state. Ogun State Governor-elect Prince Dapo Abiodun has inaugurated the Economic Transition Committee and work groups with a charge on members to chart a roadmap for the economic development of the state. The governor-elect told members to see their appointment as a call to service and must work a blueprint for the campaign manifesto of the All Progressives Congress. The event took place at the Ugire Remo Conference Center, Ogun State. Peter Falomo reports.
The 23-man Economic Transition Committee and 10 work groups, led by the chairman and former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Tunde Lemo, are to provide technical knowledge of the environment, identify critical areas for necessary development, as well as relevant inputs of stakeholders in all and inclusive governance. In his opening speech, Ogun State Governor-elect Prince Dapo Abiodun says the vision of the incoming administration is to provide focused governance that will create enabling environments for sustainable economic development.
The challenge here is to bridge the gap between the potential and the actual performance. There is no gate saying that funding will be a middle constraint. Hence, our vision of public-private partnership as a veritable tool for funding in a manner that keeps the interest of the state paramount, while giving signal value to all stakeholders, while giving signal to all stakeholders, consequently, to the work of governance, they are enjoying to identify creative means of funding opportunities to support the realization of this governance agenda.
On the task of effective governance, Prince Dapo Abiodun says some challenges of the state residents noted during his campaign tour are expected to be part of recommendations of the Transition Committee, which will be carried out without leaving anyone unattended to.
The government is a continuum. Therefore, the economic administration will continue the implementation of the ongoing projects that have a clear line of sight to the upliftment of the state and the benefit of its people.
Members of the Economic Transition Committee and work groups were thereafter commissioned for the task ahead.
Therefore, my pleasure to inaugurate the Economic Transition Committee and the work group to the glory of God and the service of God.
The chairman of the committee, Mr. Tunde Lemo, gives briefs on the guidelines to follow.
The Transition Committee will ensure smooth and efficient transition from the old to the new. Execution of a transition work plan to achieve 100-day plan focused on high-impact socio-economic projects across the state.
The 235 members in the 10 work groups have representatives from the 20 local government areas as well as registered political parties in Ogun State. Peter Falomo, OGTV News.
Ogun State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development has disbursed a sum of 200 million naira to a total of 7,350 people in the 7th phase of its macro credit scheme in the first quarter of this year. Commissioner in charge of the ministry, Mrs. Abiola Kufile Okonji, said this at the budget performance evaluation by members of the State House of Assembly Committee on Finance and Appropriation. Correspondent Kunle Ibikunle's report is presented in this package.
Outlining the 2019 budget performance of the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, the Commissioner in the ministry, Mrs. Abiola Kufile Okonji, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Roti Oladende, noted that the program, which would be rounded off in April 2019, would help empower women as means to attaining sustainable growth and societal development. She added that the Senator Ibikunle Amosun-led administration is irrevocably committed to investing in women empowerment and skill acquisition programs to better their lives and become self-reliant. In the same vein, the State Property and Investments Corporation says the agency has generated 1.32 billion naira in the first quarter of the year.
The current expectation for the year is 635 million amount approved, while amount spent within the first quarter is 105 million naira, 111,800 naira, and
Also, the State House of Assembly, Ministry of Regional Integration, State Universal Basic Education Board, Bureau of Lands and Survey, Information Technology, DS Adegberu ICT Polytechnic, State Cassava Revolution Program, State Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency, State Hospital Shokenu Abeokuta and Ijebu-Ode, as well as Bureau of Transport, had their budget performance appraised by the lawmakers.
As part of measures towards reducing road accidents and ensuring safety of lives on the highway, the Ogun State Vehicle Inspection Service has set up an ultra-modern computerized vehicle inspection center in Abeokuta, the state capital. Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Architect Olamileko Adegbite, while commissioning the project, said the technological advancement would also aid quicker vehicular inspections. Details are in this package.
The importance of safety on the highways has again been re-emphasized as the Ogun State Vehicle Inspection Service has opened a state-of-the-art dual computerized vehicle inspection center capable of checking at least 120 vehicles in a day at Quarry Road, Abeokuta. Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Architect Olamileko Adegbite, in his address says the facility center would help ensure safety of lives on the highways with accurate check on vehicles.
People overspeed, and of course vehicles are bad, especially commercial vehicles. So I think by commissioning this today, which we're about to do, we should be able to reduce that aspect of mechanical faults in vehicles. The others, through education, enforcement, I think we'll also be able to reduce that as well, so that we can ensure safety of lives and property on our highways.
Ogun State Chief Vehicle Inspection Officer Engineer Gboyega Ademeyi and Managing Director, Temple SYC Inspection Limited, Prince Segun Obanyedo, highlight other areas at which the technological center is needed.
The inspection done before now is analog, which is done by visual inspection only. The computerized vehicle inspection is digital. This will enable the owner / the driver of the vehicle to have a comprehensive report of the condition of his vehicle that is inspected.
It represents safety. It represents holding life as sacred, holding life as something we cannot replace. And what do we do to make sure that the lives are protected? That is what this project is all about.
Other stakeholders also laud the initiative.
Our people's life is paramount to the government of the day, and we believe that lives and properties of our people should be well protected. And this is one of the steps.
I would like to appeal to the drivers on the wheel, both the commercial drivers and the private drivers, to please always come here
to check their vehicle before putting their vehicle on the road.
Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Architect Olamileko Adegbite, thereafter commissioned the computerized Vehicle Inspection Center alongside dignitaries present with an adequate lecture on how it functions.
Still to come on the news, Senate passes Police Reform Bill 2019, 6 other bills, and these details will come your way shortly. Nice to welcome you back. Commitment to skills acquisition is the most proven solution to combating unemployment, reducing poverty and youth restiveness in the country. Hence, a society that neglects human development is bound to retrogress in growth and development. Senator Ibikuli Amusu, the Ogun State Governor, made this submission at the closing ceremony of the 2019 National Industrial Skills Development Program held at the Industrial Training Fund ITF Abeokuta Area Office. Charity James has the details.
One way to arrest the interest of Nigerian youth and make them societal assets and developing the semi-formal sector of the nation is to equip them with skills and empower them with workable skills as exemplified by the Industrial Training Fund ITF, a federal government outfit at its annual training for youths. For the Abeokuta area office of ITF, the graduation ceremony for 300 trainees drawn from the 3 senatorial districts of Ogun State was to demonstrate their sense of developing the nation's human resource using skills acquisition.
ITF training services has recently expanded in scope, focus, and dimension to address specialized manpower training and development needs of the Nigerian economy.
Director General Industrial Training Fund, Sir Joseph Ari, worried by the increasing spate of unemployment in the nation, says the policy of ITF on entrepreneurial training is to help transform the economic landscape of the country.
It focuses on skill acquisition to create jobs to stem rampant unemployment and bring a new generation of entrepreneurs. Since its inception, the NISDP has equipped over 150 Nigerians nationwide with skills for employability and entrepreneur.
Commending ITF on its policy aimed at reducing youth unemployment, Ogun State government is resolved to follow suit in employment generation, as that vocational skills must be a special area of focus for meaningful contribution to the economy.
But as a government of Ogun State and as a people, we are going to assure ITF and the federal government that we shall continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with them, because this is a joint problem and we are more than happy to participate in all the solution.
After a 3-month intensive training in catering and events management, tiling and POP, as well as aluminium fabrication and installation, the 300 graduating trainees were presented with startup kits according to their trades, while 2 certificates on entrepreneurial and skills development were presented to each trainee.
A big thanks to ITF generally for this program, because it really encourages us and makes us to have part in life.
If we're to learn it outside, we'll be spending a lot of money, and we're getting this on a platter of gold. So I really appreciate ITF for doing this.
The training lasted for 3 months, and I'm pleased to inform you that shortly after the training, I got a job in Ikorodu, Lagos, an aluminum fabrication job.
showcasing what they were able to do. Crafts exhibited by trainees were inspected by dignitaries at the 2018 closing ceremony of the National Industrial Skills Development Program of ITF Abeokuta Area Office. Charity James, OGTV News.
Christland University has played host to the 15th International Science, Technology, Education, Arts, Management and Social Science ESTEMS Conference 2019. The conference is aimed at promoting good marriage between technology and education and inter-tertiary collaborations in the area of research. Shemilori Amore has the details.
The 15th Smart ISTEM Multidisciplinary Conference 2019, with the theme Scaling Multi-Strong and Allied Research using Advanced Research Techniques, commenced with emphasis on proactive investment of enormous resources in Information and Communications Technology (ICT). Chief Host and Vice Chancellor of Christland University, Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola, who was represented by Professor Aderonke Akintokun, states that generating new technology in any discipline is crucial to global development.
In today's global world, generating new technology from any discipline at all and turning it into new products and services is extremely crucial in order to maintain and enhance global competitiveness.
Co-convener Professor Olumide Lunge, in his keynote address, says bringing stakeholders together to interact and reorientate people is the way forward.
The myriads of problems that we face, even in Africa, nobody has the exclusive ability to solve them. There's a need to re-educate our mind. There's a need to reorientate people. Before our very eyes, they are making progress. This has been the challenge in our time. You see people believe that it must be right to be right.
Participants were afforded the opportunity to share their experiences.
The 15th edition of ISTEM Conference, and we are very pleased. I want to assure you that each time there's always something to take home. This time where all professions are practically being taken over by artificial intelligence, blockchains, and stuff like that. The legal profession cannot stay in one place. We need technology.
An award of excellence for contributions to human capital development and multidisciplinary research was conferred on Professor Chinedum Peace Babalola.
This award is Distinguished Personality Award of Excellence for Multidisciplinary Research to the Vice Chancellor, Christland University, Abeokuta, to Professor Mrs. Chinedu Peace Babalola.
Shemilori Amore, OGTV News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has made a passionate appeal to the returning and newly elected members of the House of Representatives on the platform of the governing APC not to allow the mistakes of 2015 repeated regarding the election of presiding officers for the 9th National Assembly. The president was speaking at the special dinner organized in their honor at the presidential villa. The interactive dinner provided the opportunity for President Muhammadu Buhari as well as the returning and newly elected APC members of the House of Representatives to enrich each other's thoughts process on the best way forward towards achieving a more peaceful, stable, united and prosperous Nigeria. This, the president said, is necessary in order to avoid past mistakes of allowing people that do not mean well for the country occupy strategic leadership positions critical to the national growth and development.
I have a nasty experience in 2015. Nasty in the sense that just like this election, our party has the majority in both houses. But the members of the party in the Senate allow themselves to be divided into two, have to be thrown off, and PDP was given virtually the control of the upper house. So that house then damned the national interest. They must be seen nationally and internationally that they are in charge, not the executive. And one of the worst cases was that in one of the years, it took 7 months. 7 months for the National Assembly to pass the budget. Are we working for the nation or are we working for ourselves? What is their responsibilities to God and to the nation?
Buhari said Nigeria cannot afford not to get it right this time around, as the next 4 years will be very critical to placing the country on the path to sustainable future.
In the name of God, get together and make sure that the party is in charge. For whatever reason, don't allow yourself to be cut into pieces and mismanaged. Have respect for yourself. Keep the trust given to you by your constituencies. And remember that ultimately, whether you believe it or not, you are going to appear.
There is no apology. Neither Your Excellency, Mr. President, nor the party expect that the National Assembly should be a rubber stamp. But what we expect is constructive engagement and constructive contestation.
Some of the members-elect spoken to described the engagement with the President as appropriate, timely and reassuring.
To cognizance all factors, adopted the leader of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, for the position of the Speaker, and also placed effectively the position of the Deputy Speakership to the North Central Zone.
The next level is guaranteed for the APC in the Ninth Assembly, inshallah, because there's going to be a strong synergy between the executive and the legislature.
Similar meeting was earlier held with the APC senators-elect. The Nigerian Senate, during plenary on Wednesday, passed the Police Reform Bill 2019, SB 683. This followed the consideration of the report of the Senate Committee on Police Affairs. The report was presented by Senator Tijani Kaura, while Senator Mao Uhabonwa seconded that the Senate considers the report of the committee. Senator Gbenga Shafa said the Parliament had to look at what the bill stands for and address issues such as welfare and environment in which police operatives work. Senator Shafa raised issues on logistics, running funds to take care of fuel and stationaries, and the need to focus on the police trust fund as an intervention. Senate President Bukola Saraki had earlier described the bill as a very important one, adding that the bill will address how the police will be reformed. Since the formation in 1943, the original bill has not undergone a review. Senate President said the Senate knows where it should go ideally, but until the Senate gets there, it should address how the police will be reformed. The Senate has rejected the bill for an act to phase out petrol vehicles by 2035 and introduce electric cars. This followed observations by lawmakers on the impossibility of mandating Nigerians to stop the use of petrol vehicles. Following the rejection, the sponsor of the bill, Senator Ben Murray-Bruce, withdrew it. He however raised a point of order, saying that posterity will judge him right on the need to embrace electric vehicles, adding that in no distant time, combustible vehicles will be phased out. According to him, the earlier Nigeria buys into the change, the better. Presenting the bill before its rejection, Senator Bruce said one of the major advantages of using electric vehicles was that it will help to solve the problem of ozone layer depletion. He also said the use of electric vehicles will be health friendly, among other things. Similarly, the Senate has also passed the National Health Insurance Bill 2019. The bill was passed during the plenary. Senate President Bukola Saraki has drawn the attention of Parliament globally to education as fundamental to achieving sustainable development for peace, security, and good governance. This was at the general debate of the Inter-Parliamentary Union held in Doha, the capital of Qatar. Convergence of the legislators from across the globe marks the 140th Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. It was to find ways of achieving adherence to UNESCO's recommended 15 to 20% budget refunding for the education sector. Senate President Bukola Saraki, represented by Senator Kabiru Ibrahim Gaya, says Nigeria's legislature remains guided by the fact that education is not a luxury.
It's when we have better educated youth that the danger of insecurity will be significantly reduced so that democracy can thrive, paving way for socio-economic progress.
The theme draws attention to education as one of the cardinal issues to consider for fundamental human rights, which is central to the development of citizens.
Which combined strategies to enhance peace, security, and the rule of law.
As part of their efforts by the Nigeria's legislature to ensuring that education is built on a solid foundation, the Senate made reference at the forum to the Universal Basic Education Commission Amendment Act, which guarantees free and compulsory education for all Nigerians up to the secondary level, and Tertiary Education Trust Fund Act 2011 to include colleges of agriculture as beneficiaries of the fund. The Supreme Court has declined to sack Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State from office on the premise that he was not eligible to contest the July 14, 2018 governorship election that he eventually won. The Apex Court, in a unanimous judgment by a 5-man panel of justices, dismissed the suit that was lodged by a former governor of the state, Mr. Segun Oni, who lost the gubernatorial ticket of All Progressives Congress APC to Fayemi. Oni, who came second in the primary election, had, among other things, contended that Fayemi was not legally qualified to take part in the contest, having failed to firstly resign his position in President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet. Fayemi won the party's primary poll on May 12, 2018. At the time, he still held sway as the Minister of Mines and Steel Development. He officially resigned the position on May 30, 2018, about 18 days after he had secured APC governorship ticket with a total of 941 votes as against 481 votes polled by his closest rival, Oni. However, in the suit he filed shortly after the primary election, Oni argued that constitutionally, Fayemi ought to have relinquished his ministerial position at least 30 days to the primary poll in the verdict. The court held that Oni's suit was caught up with Section 285 of the 1999 Constitution, which makes it mandatory that all pre-election cases must be filed within 14 days. The cause of action arose. Justice Sanusi said that from the available record at this disposal of the court, the case of the appellant was filed 42 days after the cause of action arose, thereby making the suit legally incompetent to the holiday. In a statement quoting the minister in Abuja, the Minister of Interior, Lieutenant General Abdulrahman, no fewer than 156 Nigerians have died of Lassa fever, meningitis and cholera so far in 2019, according to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. The agency added that since the onset of the 2019 Lassa fever outbreak, there had been 110 deaths in confirmed cases from 21 states of the Federation as of March 10. The NCDC listed the affected states as Edo, Bauchi, Ondo, Nasarawa, Ebonyi, Plateau, Taraba, FCT, Adamawa, Gombe, and Kaduna. Others are Kwara, Benue, Rivers, Kogi, Enugu, Imo, Delta, Oyo, Kebbi, and Cross Rivers. It said a total of 15 healthcare workers had been infected since the outbreak in 7 states, while 1 of them died. On meningitis, the NCDC reports that a total of 416 suspected cases with 17 laboratories confirmed cases and 27 deaths from 14 states of the Federation had been recorded as of March 3. It added that cholera killed 19 people from 7 states with a total of 316 suspected cases and 4 laboratories confirmed cases as of March 3. The inauguration of Prince Shamsuddin Adebayo Akpelogun as the new national president of the Amalgamation Commercial Tricycle and Motorcycle Owners, Repairers and Riders Association of Nigeria, ACOMORA, will hold on Thursday, 18 April 2019 at the auditorium of Human Resources Center opposite Central Bank, Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The event will hold under the chairmanship of Right Honorable Rotimi Chibuike Amechi, the Minister of Transportation. Chairman Senate Committee on Land and Transportation, Senator Olubenga Shafa, is the special guest of honor, while the Chairman Board of Trustees of ACOMORA, Chief Alfred Okara, is the chief host. And still on the news, Debt Management Office offers 606 billion naira bonds. Details will be served shortly on the business segment.
Thank you for joining us in the business segment of the news, and let's begin with the average price paid by consumers for premium motor spirit, PMS, popularly known as petrol, remains steady as the price of kerosene, diesel, others increased in the month of March 2019. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, petrol 11. The Debt Management Office has offered C4 2019 and would be settled on April 26. It added that the interest on the bonds would be payable semi-annually, while a bullet payment of the redemption would be made on the maturity dates. The House of Representatives has condemned in the strongest terms what it describes as breaches to the Constitution and the laws of statutory transfers by the executive with regard to the 2018 Appropriation Act. The House observed that some agencies, such as the Independent National Electoral Commission, who were on the first-line charge, have not been fully funded. The lawmakers urged President Muhammadu Buhari to direct the Ministry of Finance and the Accountant General of the Federation to ensure the 2019 Appropriation Act is fully implemented as regards to statutory transfers for these agencies. The Securities and Exchange has said it will interview prospective capital market operators this month. SEC said in a notice that the registration interview would run from April 16 to 18. It stated that the registration interview meeting would be for companies seeking fresh registration into the Nigerian capital market, companies seeking additional functions for existing companies, and existing companies seeking registration of additional functions. According to the statement, the interview would be held at the SEC zonal office in Lagos. It added that the move was in a bid to improve participation and enlarge the capital market. And that's it on the business segment of the news. Many thanks to you for watching.
Glad to have you back on the world today. Two former presidents may have shot to limelight by their leadership qualities, but recent events are certainly not what they wished to contend with. Former Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir, toppled recently, is now cooling off in the prison, while Peru former president shot himself as police came to arrest him over corruption claims. For more on the world today, let's join Kemi Iwidaru Yusuf.
Days after he was deposed in a military coup, former Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has been moved to Koba Maximum Security Prison. Reports have it that the ex-leader was until now detained at the president's residence under heavy guard. He is reported to being held in solitary confinement and is surrounded by tight security. Meanwhile, Uganda's Foreign Minister Henry Olem Okello is reported to have said his country will consider offering the deposed leader asylum if he applied, despite an arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court. The ICC has not yet made comments. Generals now running the country say Mr. Bashir will not be transferred to the ICC, but will be tried in Sudan. Mr. Bashar had during his 30-year rule sent many of his political opponents to Koba, where conditions, their reports say, are shockingly different from the splendor of the presidential residence. Many Sudanese who have been protesting hope that their former president will be punished for the atrocities committed under his watch. Peru's former president Alan Garcia has died after he shot himself as police came to arrest him, reports say. He was rushed to the hospital in the capital Lima, where he had surgery from a bullet wound to his head. President Martin Vizcarra has confirmed the death. Mr. Garcia is accused of taking bribes from Brazilian construction company Odebrecht, which he denied. Officers had been sent to arrest him in connection with the allegations. Mr. Garcia served as president from 1985 to 1990 and 2006 to 2011. He said he was a victim of political persecution. In Indonesia, President Joko Widodo looks to be on course for re-election, according to unofficial results released within hours of polls closing, reports say. He's said to be 10 percentage points ahead of his rival ex-general Prabowo Subianto. Official results are not expected until May, but the so-called quick counts undertaken by polling companies have proved correct in previous years. Indonesia voted this Wednesday in one of the world's largest one-day elections. More than 192 million people were eligible to cast their ballot to select 20,000 local and national lawmakers, including the president. Mr. Prabowo has disputed the figures, saying his team's own data suggested he was in the lead.
Sports next. Akim Akintude is standing by. Good news, Nigeria's Golden Eaglets pick world ticket. He will serve you details of this and more.
Welcome to the sports segment of the news. Anthony Joshua starting with boxing. The defense of his world titles is in serious doubt as Jarrell Miller failed the drug test. Joshua is due to put his IBF, WBA and WBC heavyweight belts on the line against Miller at Madison Square Garden in New York on June 1. But the American, who has repeatedly accused Joshua of cheating, could now face a ban after testing positive for a banned substance. Miller tested positive for GW1516, a substance which increases aerobic power and endurance. It was added to the World Anti-Doping Agency's ban list in 2009 and reportedly cost up to $1,000 for 10 grams on the black market. Still with boxing, an Iranian who became the first woman from her country to contest an official boxing match says she has cancelled her return home from France after a warrant was issued for her arrest. Sadaf Hadem beat the French boxer Anne Chouavin in an amateur bout on Saturday. She had planned to fly to Tehran with her French-Iranian trainer this week. Hadem was quoted as saying she believed she was accused of violating Iran's dress code by boxing in a vest and shorts. Iranian officials have so far not confirmed the existence of a warrant. To football now, Nigeria's Golden Eagles have become the first country to qualify for the FIFA World Cup in Brazil and the semi-final of the ongoing African Under-17 Nations Cup in Tanzania. The Gaba Manu Stuttgart side pipped their counterparts from Angola 1-0 to win their second game of the tournament after beating host country Tanzania in a 9-goal thriller to secure their first win. In front of goal. Uganda won the second match of the day 3-0 against host Tanzania. Manchester United said they will take the strongest possible action they can after defender Ashley Young was racially abused on Twitter. Young, who was captaining the side, was targeted as United suffered a 3-0 second-leg defeat at Barcelona in their Champions League quarter-final on Tuesday to go out 4-0 on aggregate. United said the club utterly condemns the racist social media comments, adding it was working to identify individuals involved. And police in Kenya have been left red-faced after thieves stole guns and ammunition from an unattended checkpost as the officers on duty watched UEFA Champions League matches down the road. 3 rifles and nearly 24 rounds were pinched from the checkpost Tuesday evening in Nandi in Kenya's west, while the officers wandered off to watch Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi play in the UEFA quarterfinals on television at a nearby shopping mall. A search was underway for the stolen firearms, report says, and it was not immediately clear if the officers faced disciplinary action. Let's quickly tell you that the ongoing quarterfinal match between Manchester City and Tottenham is still 3-2 at the end of first half in favor of Manchester City. Still on sports news, Cameroon, stripped of hosting rights for this year's African Cup of Nations AFCON, has now been offered the staging of the 2020 African Nations Championship CHAN finals in place of Ethiopia. The Ethiopians have withdrawn from the continental tournament, which exclusively features locally based players at African clubs, a somewhat more low-key event than AFCON. In January, it was announced that Egypt will host the 2019 AFCON. Ahmad Ahmad, president of the Confederation of African Football CAF, who was influential in the decision to take the AFCON hosting from Cameroon, said CHAN had a replacement. Haji, a chief of staff at the Ministry of Youth and Sports in Morocco, thus became the 5th restructuring of the CAF administration, and at its last meeting. Among the steps taken was to dismiss Amir Fahmy as General Secretary. Even though no reason was given, there was insinuations that the dismissed scribe was punished on allegations of complicity in corruption allegation against CAF president. The Deputy General Secretary in charge of Administration and Finance, Sadiq Aloyi, who hierarchically should have taken over from Fahmy, was reported to have departed on amicable understanding with the Confederation. Lastly, a man who placed an $85,000 wage on Tiger Woods to win the Masters claimed it was his first bet on sports he's ever made. James Aduchi, a 39-year-old self-employed day trader, won $1.2 million from Woods' victory on Sunday. He flew to Las Vegas last week to place the bets despite having a mortgage on his house, 2 student loans and 2 car loans. Aduchi told Gold Digest that the $85,000, which came from a business account made up of failed stock money, was everything he had that he could afford to lose. He watched Woods come back at his father's house because he didn't have cable TV in his own home. Aduchi posed the idea to his wife weeks before, and she didn't oppose the idea. With his winnings, Aduchi said they plan to buy new garage doors and pay off most of their debts. No debts to pay here as we return tomorrow, God willing, to serve you fresh package on the sports segment of the news. Thanks for watching. My name, Hakim Akitude, handing you over back to Wale.
Thank you, Hakim. From sports, let's serve you the weather report for tomorrow, Thursday.